Today, we are going to watch a movie that was released in 2021. An amazing movie. Its name is Sinkhole. This is basically a survival disaster South Korean movie, the story of which is very unique. We all know how unique South Korean movies are. This movie's story is no different. So I hope all of you will really enjoy this story. Then let's begin the explanation of the Sinkhole movie. So the story begins in a small town in South Korea. The name of the town is Seoul. Since morning, it has been raining heavily here. Because of that, no one could go outside. Here we see a man named Park. Park is moving into a new apartment with his family. Park had a dream for many years, and that was to buy a new flat. After 11 long years of hard work, he has finally managed to buy this apartment. By Park's family, we mean only his wife and his only son. His wife's name is Yoongi, and the son's name is Soo-jin. Park and his family were trying to shift their furniture into their new flat, but even though they wanted to, they couldn't do it, because a car was parked in front of the apartment, so the truck carrying their furniture couldn't get through. And the owner of that car was Monsu. Here, Park meets a neighbor. That neighbor had Monsu's phone number. Park then gets Monsu's phone number from him. After that, he calls Monsu. But even after calling several times, Monsu doesn't answer the phone. After a while, Monsu comes out of his flat. Monsu looked very angry, because he was looking at Park in a rather irritated way. Then Monsu goes to his car, and moves the car from in front of the apartment. Park then thanks Monsu, but Monsu says, "Because of you, my whole day has been ruined. Today was my day off. I was planning to get some peaceful sleep, but there was no way to do that. You kept calling again and again. I couldn't even sleep. I don't like this kind of joke at all." Park is very surprised by this, and he says to Monsu, "You're such a strange man. You're the one who made the mistake. You should be the one to apologize to me. But instead, you are treating me badly. What kind of person are you?" Monsu then doesn't say a word and goes to sleep. After that, Park brings up the furniture into the flat. Here, Park meets many people from the apartment. But the one he found most strange was Monsu. So he decides that even if he meets Monsu again, he will never talk to him, because it's better to stay away from people like that. Here we see an elderly woman named Miso. She had no family. Also, in another flat, a woman named Joy lives, and she has a child. A few years ago, Joy got divorced from her husband, so now she lives here with her son. To run the household, she does a small job. Every day, while going to the office, Joy tells her son not to talk to any strangers. Within a few hours, Park moves into his flat and arranges all his belongings the way he likes. Park is very happy because, after so many years, his dream of buying a new flat has come true. He was chatting with his wife here, and their son, Soo-jin, was playing with marbles on the floor. Soo-jin notices something here. That is, his marble keeps rolling in the same direction again and again. Soo-jin shows this to his parents. They see that when Soo-jin places the marble on the floor, it starts rolling in the same direction. That means it seemed to them that the apartment is slanted to one side, which is why the marble keeps going in that direction. But they don't take it very seriously. The next morning, Park decides to go to a gym, and he finds a gym near his house. So, without delay, he goes there to enroll. But when he gets there, he sees that the coach of that gym is Monsu, the person he fought with yesterday. Seeing Monsu, Park tries to run away from there, because he wanted to stay away from him. But Monsu drags him inside the gym and asks Park to get enrolled in the gym. But Park never wants to take training from someone like him. So he says to Monsu, "I won't enroll in this gym even if I die because there's a useless man like you here who picks fights with people." Saying this, Park was about to leave. But before that, he asks Monsu, "Is one side of our apartment slanted? Because yesterday, when my son was playing with marbles, the marbles kept going in the same direction. Can you say anything about this?" Monsu then says, "I never noticed anything like that." After that, Park goes to his office. Here, Park was searching the internet for information about slanted buildings. But right then, his colleagues in the office wanted to throw a party to celebrate his new flat. Park then tells them that he will arrange a party for them very soon. Everyone in the office becomes very happy to hear this. Then they all ask Park for his house location. Park then tells them, "My new house is in Seoul City." Then they all say, "Seoul is a very old city, and that area is not very good." But Park doesn't want to listen to them. Instead, he tells them, "When you come to my house, you will understand what Seoul City is really like." But deep inside, he was worrying about the apartment, and after hearing his colleagues, his worries increased even more. So he returns home a bit early that day. Then Park takes a marble from his son. This time, Park himself places the marble on the floor. The marble again rolls in that same direction. Park now becomes somewhat certain that indeed one side of their apartment is slanted. But his wife tells him, "Don't worry about such things at all. There's nothing like that. Instead of enjoying ourselves after moving into a new house, you're only worrying." She continues, "Tomorrow is your day off. This is a great chance for us to do a family photo shoot." That would be nice, wouldn't it? Park agrees with his wife. The next morning, they get ready and go for the photo shoot. But there, too, Park gets shocked. Because the photographer there was none other than Mansu. Park then says to Mansu, "What are you doing here again?" Mansu replies, "At the gym, I work a part-time job. My real profession is photography. No one here can take pictures like me. Are you here to get pictures taken from me?" Park then says, "Am I crazy to get pictures taken by a madman like you? You'll conspire and make my beautiful wife look like a ghost in the photos? So instead of getting photos taken by you, it's better not to take photos for the rest of my life." Park doesn't get any pictures taken by Mansu. Then he goes to a restaurant with his family. Here, they all have a lot of fun. After eating, Park tells his wife that they will now return home using cab. Cab is a service through which a car can be booked from anywhere. Park then books a car using cab. Very quickly, the car arrives to pick them up. Here, too, Park gets a big shock, because he sees that the driver of the cab is none other than Mansu. Now Park gets very irritated, and he says to Mansu, "What are you trying to pull with all this?" Mansu then says, "I sometimes drive a car in my leisure time." Park then says, "What else do you do? Make me a list of those things. That way I can stay 100 hands away from them." It was very late at the restaurant for Park and his family, so there weren't many cars on the road. As a result, Park was compelled to get into Mansu's car with his family. Mansu was driving the car by breaking traffic rules. Mansu is actually a very funny person. He does whatever job he gets. He even lives life as he pleases. The next morning, when Park goes to his office, one of his colleagues comes to him, whose name is Yoon. Since Park had shifted to a new house, Yoon wanted to give him a gift. But Park tells Yoon, "Just give me some money instead. I'll buy myself a gift of my choice." Yoon then gives Park some money. Park then buys a chair with that money. When he gets home, he sits on that chair and starts swinging. Then his son Soojin wants to sit on the chair for a bit. But Park liked the chair so much that he didn't even let his son sit on it. That night, a heavy amount of rain started outside. At that time, some cracks were forming on the road near Park's house, and there was a lot of storm throughout the night. The next morning, Mansu was heading out for work. But suddenly, he sees that one of the glasses in their apartment had broken. When he touches the glass to check it, it instantly shatters into pieces. At that very moment, Park and a neighbor from their apartment arrive at the scene. Then, they feel like maybe Mansu was the one who broke the glass. So, they ask Mansu to replace it with a new one. But Mansu keeps trying to explain to them that he didn't break the glass. Rather, the glass was already broken before. But none of them believe Mansu. Park then leaves for his office, but he sees some cracks on their apartment road which had formed last night. Park doesn't feel too comfortable about it. So he immediately calls the owner of their apartment and tells him everything. The owner's name was Young Soo. Young Soo then tells Park, "Do one thing. After returning from the office this evening, call a meeting with everyone in the apartment. If everyone agrees with you, then we will observe the matter." That evening, Park calls a meeting with everyone in the apartment. Mansu was also there with them. Park wanted to talk seriously with everyone. But all of them, leaving the real issue behind, were arguing with each other over trivial matters. Park kept trying to stop them again and again, but no one was listening to Park. Instead, they kept arguing in their own way. In the midst of all this, they don't end up discussing the main issue. Mansu then returns to his flat. Mansu has a son. His son's name is Doksu. Mansu lives in this flat with his son. About 5 years ago from today, Mansu's wife died, but Mansu never remarried because he loved his wife very much. Shanmu was having food with his son there. Suddenly Mansu says to Doksu, "It's okay if you smoke, but do you have to go down the apartment to do it? Can't you find any other place than our apartment? Every day people complain to me about you. Did you learn this from YouTube?" Doksu was actually very addicted to YouTube. He used to watch YouTube videos almost all day. That's why Mansu felt like maybe his son learned to smoke from YouTube. But Doksu says to him, "I don't even smoke, then how can there be complaints about me? Just because you say so, that doesn't make it true." Saying this, Doksu somehow walks away from there. The next morning, Park brings 4 of his office colleagues to show them their apartment. Park then sees Mansu in front of the apartment door. Mansu had replaced the broken glass with plastic because glass was too expensive. Seeing this, Park gets very angry inside. But since his office colleagues were with him, he doesn't say anything to Mansu. Park then goes to his room with the colleagues. Among them was also their manager. After eating, they all drank a lot. So the manager proposes to a girl named Lily there. Actually, he had loved Lily for a long time, but he never had the courage to tell her. But today, since he drank a lot, he told Lily about his feelings. But it turns out Yoon got very angry at the manager because he also loved Lily, but he never told Lily about it. Yoon then pulls the manager's tie and says, "You've got guts, haven't you? You proposed to my Lily. I won't spare you today." Saying this, Yoon hangs on to the manager's tie. Yoon actually used to be very scared of the manager. But since he drank too much now, he wasn't in his senses. The manager then escapes with Lily to get away from Yoon. Meanwhile, Yoon lies there and keeps cursing the manager. Yoon had drunk excessively here, so he couldn't go home alone. Park then books Mansu's car through an app to get them home. After a while, Mansu arrives. But to drop Yoon home, Mansu demands extra fare. With Yoon, there was also a female colleague. Her name was Cheheru. Because of Mansu asking for extra fare, Park tells them to stay at his house that night. Mansu also stays with them. The next morning, Park's wife Yoongi was going to the market with her son Sujan. But suddenly, she remembers that she left her purse at home. So she sends Sujan to get the purse. On the other hand, we see Yoon. Because of excessive drinking, Yoon woke up very late today. So he hurriedly gets ready for the office and runs to get there because he had a very important meeting at the office today. So he hurriedly gets into a car. But when he was very close to the office, he remembers that he left his office bag at Park's house, where all the important documents for the meeting were. So without delay, he goes back to Park's house. Then he takes his bag and sees that the car driver is standing on the road, talking to his girlfriend on the phone. Yoon then keeps calling him again and again, but he doesn't hear any of it. Yoon was already very late. On top of that, the driver was making him even more late. This made Yoon very angry. On the other hand, we see Mansu, who had temporarily taken up a job of water inspection. That's why Mansu was going to everyone's door in the apartment, asking if they had enough water in their flat, and he was writing down this information in a notebook. After a while, Mansu arrives in front of Jayi's apartment. Jayi is the woman who leaves her child at home to go to work. Mansu then knocks on their door. Inside the apartment, Jayi's son Ji-san was present, but like every day, Jayi had told Ji-san not to speak to any strangers. So even though Ji-san was inside the flat, he did not respond to Mansu's call. At that point, it seemed to Mansu that perhaps no one was inside, so he went up to the roof to check the water tank. But on the roof, Taj's son Doksu was smoking a cigarette. Doksu saw his father and got very scared, so he hid in a corner of the roof. That's why Mansu did not see him. From there, Mansu saw a person named Sikisima in the opposite apartment, who was one of their neighbors. Sikisima was watering his plants excessively while looking at Mansu. In fact, he was trying to show Mansu that their apartment had a lot of water. Just then, an earthquake began. Sikisima saw that Mansu's apartment was sinking into the ground. Before anyone could react, the entire apartment began to submerge into a deep hole. The hole looked like it had been forming for years. Meanwhile, cracks began to form on the road in front of the apartment. Even the car that Yoon was sitting in fell into the hole. The car first landed on the roof of Mansu's apartment, then breaking through the roof, it entered Park's flat. Actually, this was a huge sinkhole. Rainwater usually accumulates in a specific place underground, and when that accumulated water is extracted in various ways, a hollow space is created underneath. Over the years, this leads to the formation of large sinkholes underground. Park then pulls Yoon out of the car. After that, they both go inside the flat because Chihiru is there, who had stayed with Yoon the previous night. Chihiru was completely safe there. At that moment, Mansu arrives. Park asks Mansu, "Have you seen my wife and child?" Then Mansu replies, "In the morning I saw them coming out of the lift." After that, Mansu starts looking for his son Doksu. He searches for Doksu everywhere but cannot find him anywhere. Then Mansu checks the shoe rack. He notices that the shoes Doksu usually wears are not there, so he thinks Doksu might have gone outside. This gives Mansu some relief. It seemed to them that there was no one else in the apartment except for them. Park then looks up at the sinkhole. They all realize that the sinkhole is very deep. Even if they wanted to, they wouldn't be able to get out of there. Even if they screamed, no one would hear them. Besides, they were so deep underground that they had no phone network. Just then they heard a sound. The sound was coming from under the air conditioner. Mansu rushed over and moved the AC aside. But he sees it's his son, Doksu, who got trapped there while smoking a cigarette. Doksu stands up and says, "Oh, it's just a small hole. The way I fell from the roof, I thought it would be a huge one. I know lots of survival tricks. First, we have to gather some food. Then we have to send some signals upward." Mansu asks him, "Where did you learn all this?" Doksu replies, "I learned it by watching YouTube." Mansu accepted feed or two. Several rescue teams had arrived near the sinkhole. A few members of the rescue team descended into the sinkhole using ropes to rescue them. But then the ground there started to collapse. As a result, the rescue team couldn't go further in, so they came back up. That means their first plan had failed. Now the entire rescue team started evacuating the nearby buildings because those buildings were in a danger zone and could collapse at any moment. Those stuck under the sinkhole began collecting some essential items from inside the apartment. Day turned into night. Park was feeling terrible because he thought his colleagues got stuck here because of him. Just then it started raining, so they all took shelter under a roof. That place was very dark, so they burned Park's favorite chair to make a fire because there was no other dry wood left. This broke Park's heart into pieces. Park Saks were Park 6 real Guy Graham. The next morning, the rescue team sent a drone into the sinkhole. But when the drone went deep into the hole, it lost its signal and crashed onto the ground. Then all of them started recording on the drone because they felt maybe the rescue team could see and hear them. Just then, one side of their apartment collapsed, causing all of them to start sliding downward. Yoon was falling, but Cheru caught her, and for the first time, their eyes met. Then they forgot everything and just kept looking at each other. On the other hand, Doksu fell down, so Mansu jumped in to save him. At the bottom, there was a lot of mud. Doksu and Mansu began to sink into the mud. But Mansu struggled hard to hold his son up. Park saw this. He ran down to a lower floor and opened a window there. As a result, all the mud started to flow into that floor, along with Doksu and Mansu. This saved both their lives. Meanwhile, the drone sent by the rescue team started flying again, as it now received a signal. Then, they all began speaking in front of the drone once again. And finally, the rescue team saw them. After that, the rescue team fully prepared to rescue them. But the problem was, the apartment next to Mansu's apartment might also collapse into the sinkhole. This would put the lives of those trapped inside at extreme risk. So, the rescue team decided to demolish that apartment before it falls into the sinkhole. But the residents of that apartment didn't agree. Then, one officer from the rescue team tried to convince them, but it wasn't working. Then, An elderly man stood up and said, "All of you are valuing a building more than human lives. If they were our own family members, what would you have done?" Hearing this, everyone agrees. After that, the rescue team first starts working to remove that apartment from the site, while on the other hand, we see Mansu and Park, who were talking to each other. Mansu tells Park here, "Yesterday I was responsible for the apartment's water supply work. I went to every flat, but there wasn't a single person in any of the flats." Mansu didn't know that Joy's son, Jisan, was inside one of the flats. There, he was sitting and chatting with Chae-hee-roo. He told Chae-hee-roo that this is a very memorable moment in their lives, because how many people in their lifetime even face such a situation? "I'm feeling really good. Let's capture this moment on camera, so that in the future we can tell our children how we survived such a tough situation." Saying this, Yoon starts taking selfies. On the other side, we see the rescue team again. They have sent food, oxygen, a torch, and a telephone through the chain. Everyone becomes very happy receiving these. After that, they use the telephone to communicate with the rescue team. Park then talks to his wife, Yoon-gi. She informs Park that their son, Soo-jin, is still inside the apartment. Hearing this, Park becomes very worried and immediately starts searching for Soo-jin. Park struggles a lot as he moves down to the lower floors. Meanwhile, another group of the rescue team decides to descend through the chain, but just at that moment, a building collapses onto the chain. The building falls on one side of the apartment beneath the chain, causing half of the apartment to get blocked. And inside the blocked section is Park, meaning he is now trapped below. Meanwhile, Park keeps searching for his son. He reaches the very bottom floor. There, Park injures his foot badly, but still, he keeps looking for his son. After a while, Park hears the sound of crying. He sees that it is his son Soo-jin sitting inside a car and crying. Park hugs his son. He becomes very happy upon finding him. Outside, it was raining heavily, and the rainwater starts entering the apartment. There, Park sees an elderly woman holding a baby. The baby had died a few hours ago. This baby was actually Jisun, whose mother had told him not to talk to strangers. Park feels very sad for Jisun and starts crying, but after a while, he composes himself. Then he asks the old woman to come with them, but she replies, "I can't go with you, because even getting the two of you out of here will be very difficult, and if I go with you, maybe none of us will be able to get out. Besides, I'm very old now, I don't have anyone. Even if I die, it won't make any difference to anyone. You just try to save your son. That will be the best thing." Then the old woman cuts off a bit of Jisun's hair and gives it to Park, saying, "If you manage to reach the top, give this hair to Jisun's mother. Maybe it will bring her a little peace." Park starts climbing upward with the hair and his son. There, a large amount of rainwater is pouring in. Meanwhile, the place where everyone else is staying is also filling up with water. So they start collecting many empty bottles to build a raft and float on it. At that moment, a huge water tank comes floating on the water. This tank was from the building that had fallen onto the apartment. Right at that moment, Park arrives there with his son. They come up with an idea. All of them will get inside the tank. That way, the more water comes in, the faster the tank will float upward. But someone must close the lid of the tank from outside. Otherwise, water will enter the tank from the outside. Then Mansu decides to stay behind. That is, he is ready to give his life to save everyone else. But no one wants to leave Mansu behind. Mansu explains to them a lot. He hugs his son and says, "Forgive me. I've scolded you a lot, but I want you to become a very good human being. Learn something from what I'm going to do today. Always be ready to give your life to help others." Then, Deok-soo promises his father that he will become a good human being. Now, all of them get inside the tank, and Mansu closes the lid from the outside. Meanwhile, more water flows into the shaft, causing the tank to gradually float upward. But suddenly, the tank gets stuck on some ropes. They realize this from inside. They then start jumping hard inside the tank, and eventually the tank breaks free. But suddenly, a large rod pierces into the tank, causing a lot of water to start flowing in. The tank also gets stuck on the rod, meaning it can no longer go up. Just at that moment, Mansu arrives. He hadn't died because he had oxygen provided by the rescue team. Mansu frees the tank from the rod, and the tank starts floating upward again. But now a lot of water is entering the tank. Then Doc Soo puts one of his hands into the hole to stop the water from entering. Mansu tries very hard to grab his son's hand, but fails, and the tank keeps floating upward. But there was a rope stuck inside the tank. One of Mansu's legs gets caught in that rope, so Mansu starts rising with them. Now the tank reaches just above the water, but this time, even more water starts entering the tank because another hole had formed. At that moment, Mansu opens the tank lid. Meanwhile, the rescue team sees them. By then, the depth of the shaft had reduced a lot, so the rescue team is able to save them easily. That means everyone survives. Park's wife becomes very happy, seeing Park and their son. She hugs her child and cries. On the other hand, Joy comes to Park and asks about Ji-san. Park, while crying, gives her the lock of Ji-san's hair. Joy understands from this that Ji-san has died. Joy holds the hair in her hands and starts crying. Then, around 6 months pass. We see Park's family and Mansu visiting Yoon's house. Yoon has married Chae-hee-roo, so he has organized a party for everyone. In the evening, the party starts. Later, colorful fireworks light up the sky. There, everyone begins to enjoy their lives in a new way. And here the movie ends. If you like the movie, please let us know in the comments. If you like the video, don't forget to like, comment, and share. To see many more such videos, stay connected with the channel. Thank you.